That song. Oh, yeah. All right, that's enough of that. I'm just playing that song. You didn't get rickrolled. Well, I guess I kind of rickrolled you, but because the lesson 1.3, which is the next video, has a song set to that song so that you can learn a strategy. So you know how I like to do, get it stuck in your head early so then you're ready for it when you hear it. We're on lesson 1.2 right now. Welcome to quarter 2. Remember, this is your fresh start. You can start all over at 0, 0, 0. The first assignment that you turn in this class will give you 100% in my class. So I really hope that motivates you. You can have an A day 1. Also, this quarter we're doing things a little bit differently where I'm going to put a password in this video. And so as you're watching the video, prepare yourself to write down the password. It is case sensitive, so make sure that it's uppercase or lowercase depending on how I write it. And if you have questions, you can always reach out and ask me for the password at another time. All right. Not Rick Ashley right now. Astley. We are going to go to our reflector. All right, so here's our lesson. We have converting fractions, decimals, and percents. This is probably something a lot of you already know how to do. Maybe for a lot of you, this is something you never knew how to do, but you've heard of it before. Either way, I accept you where you're at. Let's learn some strategies on how to convert between fractions, decimals, and percents. I'm a big calculator person, so I'm going to be focusing on strategies that involve the calculator. It's going to be very, very helpful for you to split screen your calculator hashtag app with your Notability app as you're going through this, if you can. Otherwise, you can have a piece of paper out and your calculator split screened with this video. I know it's a lot to navigate, but you can do it. All right, so I'm going to do these examples here. It says convert the following percents to the decimal equivalent. So that's just a fancy way of saying I'm giving you a percent. What's the decimal? Something that might help you remember how to do this is that the word percent and the symbol with the little zeros and the slash, what's up with that? The word percent means out of 100, which is another fancy way of saying divided by 100. Also, if you look at this symbol, it kind of looks like a fraction and it has 2 zeros. So if it helps you to remember, you can think, okay, this symbol or this symbol is the same as saying divided by 100, or the bottom of the fraction is 100. Okay, so using that strategy, we're going to say 67% is just another way of saying 67 divided by 100, 67 out of 100. So we can say 67 divided by 100 on our calculator, and we get a decimal. Now, when you're putting your answers in to the puzzle piece, you're going to want to use that same format where we have a 0 in front of the dot. Also, it's just kind of the fancy, polite, pinkies up way to do math to always put a 0 in front of your decimal point. That way you don't get it confused with a 67, right? If you don't notice the point there, it just looks like a normal 67. Let's do a few more examples together. We have 30%, all right? So again, remember percent out of 100 divided by 100. So 30 out of 100, 30 divided by 100, 0.3, 0.3. There you go. You might see some people write it as 0.30 because it's 30 hundredths. So just keep that in mind. However, when you put your answers in, make sure that you're doing 0.3. All right, now on this one, I'm going to show you another strategy that you might have heard of. Dividing by 100 is the same as just moving the decimal place over twice. Moving the decimal place to the left. So if I see my percent here, I know dividing by 100 will do the same thing as just going to the left. 2-step to the left. And so here, I would put the decimal point there now. and I'd have 0.995. Again, we want to be polite, we want to be fancy, we want to do it in the prim and proper way, so we're going to put that 0 in front. Come correct with your 0 in front. All right, here we have 8%. Again, if we wanted to use that same strategy where we don't have to use our calculator, it's kind of nice sometimes not to have to pick up your calculators, punch something in. You know, my mush mouth. You know your decimal would be there, and then you move it over twice. Now, if you have an empty basket, you put an egg in it. That's what my elementary school teacher taught me a million years ago. But just remember that if a decimal place gets moved over and there's nothing there, that means there's 0. So this would be 0.08, or remember, prim and proper, we're doing things the polite way. We're going to put a 0 in front there. If that's too much for you, that's okay. I'm a calculator person too. I love using calculators to help me get the right answer. Sometimes, though, it's nice to know how to do it without a calculator. Finally, we have 3.6. Again, if I were to use the decimal method, I would get 0.036, put that extra 0 in front because we're being prim and proper. However, you could always just do 3.6 divided by 100 on your calculator and get that same answer. All right, you guys, you need to pause the video and then try those 5 examples on your own. Submit them to Schoology. You can always check your answers to see if you're right or wrong by pressing the view link after you submit. All right, I hope you feel successful. If not, no big deal. You can always check your answers. Try, fail, try, fail, try, fail, try again. You'll be successful. All right, so the secret password in this video is fresh. So all lowercase, you're going to want to enter the word fresh into your Schoology puzzle piece, and then it'll allow you to enter your answers. Man, okay, you guys know me. I don't need to apologize for my mush mouth. Let's keep going here. All right, so our next topic that we're going to go over is to convert the following decimals to equivalent percentage. So we're doing the opposite of what we did before. Remember, to get to a decimal, we divided by 100. So to go back to a percent, we are going to multiply by 100. So it's just the opposite operation, just like solving an equation. So all we need to do is just take this number and go times 100. Super simple, 0.39 times 100, and we get 39. Now that seems so simple, but they do get a little bit more complicated. So for example, 0.02 times 100, 2%. All right, what about this one? I would think this one might be 9% because it's 9, right? However, let's talk about the strategy where we move the decimal place over twice. If we moved it to the left to become a percent, then we move it to the right. Oh, sorry, said that wrong. If we move it to the left to become a decimal, we move it to the right to become a percent. So we'd say 1, 2, okay, what do I do here? Okay, I have a empty basket, so I put an egg in it. It's kind of weird, right? Well, this would actually be 90%. And if you ever get to a point where you're like, I think I did it right, I'm not sure, you can always check by multiplying by 100 and you get 90. When you put your answers into the puzzle piece, don't put the percent symbol because it's already provided for you. Now this one would be a very easy one to use the move the decimal to the right method because boom, boom, okay, that seems nice. But what do I do with those extra zeros? Well, those extra zeros to the left are no longer needed. We can just say 7.7%. Again, if that confuses you, no big deal. Just take the original question, multiply by 100, and get 7.7. All right, last one. This one's kind of weird. And maybe you've heard that you can never have more than 100%. Well, you can. I mean, you hear sports players all the time saying, you know, I got to give 110%. And you actually can have more than 100% in some situations, but not in other. And maybe we'll talk about that later in the year when we talk about probability. However, when we're just talking about percents in general, we can get more than 100%. So we get 116% in this case. All right, you guys, pause the video and try these next 5 questions on your own. Oh, we're back. Okay, a little bit of clicking around. I just trying to get that song stuck in your head again. Not that it's not already, because it gets stuck really easily. We're going to do a couple of examples where we're going to convert fractions into the equivalent percentages. So this actually takes 2 steps, but you know what? You got this. You guys can do this. The first thing we're going to do is take a fraction and turn it into a decimal. You guys already know how to do this. You know we divide top to bottom whenever we're solving an equation. It's the same thing. 20 divided by 22, and we get a decimal. Now, we know how to go from a decimal to a percent. You just multiply by 100. So times 100. There we go. So we get 90.9. And then, what do I do here? Well, if it was a puzzle piece question where you had to enter it in, you would run around to the nearest 100th, which is the second spot, and so it would be 90.91%. If you're not so great at rounding, that's perfectly fine. Just enter your answers into the Schoology puzzle piece, and then you can come back, press view your previous answers, and then I'll have the correct answer for you, and you can see, oh, no, I know how to do this. I just rounded wrong, or maybe you're way off and you need to go back and rewatch the video or ask me for some help. Let's keep going. All right, we got to turn this fraction into a percent now. How are we going to do that? Well, you could logic your way through it. You know that every fraction could represent a percent as long as 100 was on the bottom. Well, this is a 50 on the bottom, so it's double. So one way to think about it is that it's 60 over 100. We know that percent means over 100, so this is 60%. Hey, you know what? If that was over your head, it's okay. We can use a calculator. I'm a calculator person too. So we're going to do 30 divided by 50 times 100. 60%. All right, I just like to show you lots of different ways to try and do these questions because you never know. I don't know you guys that well. We're distance. I just try to give you as many different ways to do it as possible. Skip over the examples that don't make sense and just do it the way that does make sense. All right, we got this last one. Lord knows I do not know what that would be as a percent just by looking at it, and that's okay. You don't have to know every single one. All right, and I got this weird decimal. I'm going to multiply by 100. All right, so I got 83, and then generally we want to round to the 100th, so that's the second decimal place, and so that would be 72, and then we use the percent symbol. But when you're putting it into the Schoology puzzle piece, make sure you're not putting the percent symbol in because it's already provided for you. Last one. All right, so we're going to do 3 divided by 200, and then we're going to multiply by 100, and I get 1.5, so that is 1.5%. Another way to think about that is if it was over 100, it'd be half of 3, so it's 1.5. If that didn't make sense, no problem. Don't worry about it. Just another added anecdote for you to think about. All right, you guys, that's it from me. I'll play you out with a little Rick Astley, Rick roll you out for a couple of seconds, but make sure you're doing 11, 12, 13, 14 and submitting your answer on Schoology on your own. And you can always check your answers, so do not worry if you don't get them right on the first try. You can always click on the view and then go back through your submissions and it'll show you the right answers, and you can resubmit until you get them all right. Okay, here we go. Have a really great day.